structure part and the usage part. So collocation, as per the syllabus that you have for this course, is mostly related to the language use part, right? So the collocation questions that you will have in your exams are also going to be mostly based on the usage rather than on the structure. Okay. That is one part of it. So with respect to collocation, again, to repeat what I was saying, it is a tough task to teach you the A to Z of collocation, by which I mean, I cannot give you a list of all the collocated words in English. It's mostly because some kind of collocation in English is open-ended, like, you know, they can have like too many combinations, but some of them are very restricted, right? But before I say anything further, I would like to know from you, what do you understand by collocation as of now from the lectures or from what you have experienced from the questions in the assignments or practice question streams? What is your understanding of collocation as of now? Okay, so because it becomes easy for me to tell you what it is not or what it is when I know what is it that you already know about it, right? Or are there people who have no idea about what the word collocation means or what this phenomena itself is? I would like to know this from you before I go any further. Yeah, so you can unmute yourself and speak. Maybe raise your hands if there are like multiple respondents, because we do not want a chaotic situation.
Frankly, ma'am, I don't recollect what a collocation is, ma'am.
Yeah, so why is it so? Is it because it has happened like a while ago, or is it because it did not register well with you?
I did not register well.
Let me start my video for a while so that I can have a one-on-one. You can, fine, all right. So why, what is it that you don't understand? Or is it because, you know, like I asked, is it because it's been a while that you have looked at it, or is it because it was not clear in first place for you?
Yes, ma'am. The former. I mean, it's been a while I've looked at it.
Okay, but at least from what you remember, can you recollect and let me know what is it that you understand when someone says word collocation? Basically, word collocation, okay, there are several, the word collocation is used in different domains and different subject areas, but here for our course, we are particularly referring to the word collocations, needless to mention, but just in case somebody is wondering what it is. All right, so Vikram cannot recollect, but is there anybody who can recollect? They can speak. Nobody? So if you do not know what it is, then how do you understand the principles? You have solved questions in collocation, right? I know that because the live sessions, a lot of them, the questions, the doubts come on particularly two areas. One is the stress and the other is collocation. So it's unlikely that people have not looked at it. Pair of words that goes with each other. Okay, so to begin with, maybe you can say pair of words which go with each other, using of words together having an appropriate meaning. Okay, we have response from Varun and Ronak. Yes. Okay, yeah, so both of you are right in some, we have a gist what word goes with. Okay, so you are telling me the pattern of question. So see, pattern of question in word collocation can be decided in several ways. Okay, so like the activity that we are going to do today, which is like a preliminary activity in word collocation, is not the one based on the list pattern, right? Wherein you have a list of words in one column and the one on the other, and you match. Yes. Okay, I am sort of getting responses now from a lot of people. Pratyush has said just of what word goes with others. Hasmukh says which word goes with which word. Okay, so I think all of you are right. It's just that you need a little more of some more meaning need to be added to this. More of explanation needs to be added to this. But I like how you have used the word which here, right? Because that's the basic part of doing word collocation for our purpose, which is the one which you're doing to learn the language usage. Okay, so it's not what goes with what, it's more about which one can I choose. Now, what's the difference between these two? When I say it's not what we are concerned with, but we are more concerned with the which part, what I mean is that the collocations that you would get to answer, or the collocations that you are expected to learn, are the ones which are, one of the kind. They are the kind in themselves. So which means you will be asked only about the restricted pairs. Okay. So in collocation, now let me begin with what it actually is. So like you very rightly identified, collocation is basically pairing of two words. Okay. It could be any two words in English. The class of those words, whether noun or adjective or verb or preposition or determiner, it does not matter. Any two words or more than two words, it could also be a phrase. Okay. When they come together and they co-occur with each other, in not by chance. Okay. It's when they occur not by chance, but with a greater frequency, not random frequency, but greater frequency. It's not like a random combination, or it's not like a by chance appearance, but they are found together almost all the times. Okay. When this happens, you call it a collocated word pair or a collocated phrase. Even the idioms and metaphors that you have in a language are in some sense collocated with each other, right? But they are examples of very strong collocation and a different kind of collocation. Okay. But we are not concerned with them. We are only concerned with the pairings of the words here. Okay. So if there's a word whose meaning isn't clear enough, then I'm not quite sure about answers. Obviously, now this is a problem with all of us, right? We are not native speakers. We are not going to, even native speakers may not know the meaning of everything that's available in their language. So the only answer to that would be, or the only solution to that would be that you take up more reading activity. Now, this is good that you asked this question now. Whatever I'm going to tell you, or whatever, the techniques that I will suggest you to look at, please keep it in mind that these explanations or this discussion that we are going to have on collocation cannot in any way replace the actual task or the actual practice that you do, which is engagement with the language itself. How do you do that? You will have to listen more, you'll have to read more. Nothing can replace that part of the learning. Okay. The ones that we will do in the series on word collocation, we'll have more. So today I'm just doing the beginning introduction part. I plan to have at least 2 more parts to the word collocation, okay, before I start with the next topic. So whatever we do in the class in terms of a practice, it's just, remember, this is just for the practice sake. It is just to initiate you to this process and phenomena of word collocation. This is not to replace your actual task of reading and listening. Just keep that in mind. So to know the meaning of the words, to understand more of the words, the only way you have is to read more, listen more, engage, and be deeply immersed in the language, right? There's no other way. There's no shortcut to this. Okay, so that being said, coming back to the part on collocation, collocations, they basically are the pairs that co-occur with each other, right? And not at a random frequency, okay, but at a very high, greater frequency. If you find two pairs, if you find a pair of words that occur almost every time, okay, every time you see this word, the other word automatically follows with it. It's like the best friends who hang out together. One is there and always the other one is also implied. Or if you ask somebody, where is the other one? Okay. It's basically saying that you basically are significant others to each other. Word collocation in some sense works like that. And a collocated word in the language is basically this: co-occurrence at a greater frequency, not just a random by chance appearance together. That is also collocation, but you call them a weaker kind of collocation, right? A very strong one is where you find these words almost at a greater frequency and together all the time. Okay. Om, you have a question? Tanuj, I come to you. I see Om's hand raised and I'll take his question and then come to you. Om, you here?
Yes. Actually, question regarding that. I am under what you are speaking, not you, anyone speaking, I will understand properly. But when I answer replying them, that time I am fumbling, that time not putting the proper word, and sometimes not explaining actually what I am saying. What I thought in my mind, I am not able to explain in speaking. And same thing happened with me in a writing also. I am stuck. I writing 3 to 5 sentences. After that, I am stuck. What I can do for that? How can I improve it like that?
Okay, this question I will address a little later. Let me first hear Tanuj if he has something that is related directly to what I was saying. Then
Okay.
I'll come back to you. Tanuj.
Yeah.
Tanuj, still around? No? Okay. Whenever you want to be back. So, yeah, to address your question, see, the reason why you cannot come up with what you want to say could be many. Okay, it needn't be the reason for that is not always linguistic in nature. That can be many other. The barrier that you're experiencing could be owing to too many other reasons. It's not just linguistic. Sometimes it's also psychological reasons. Okay, by which I mean that you're underconfident in a particular, say you know it, but then you're not sure. All of this counts as psychological barrier. And it could also be directly linked to the aspect of cognitivity itself, where you're not able to write or speak well because you have not thought well about it. Okay, so to write well or to speak well, the part that precedes speaking well and writing well is thinking well. Okay, so if anything is not thought about well, then it cannot be written well also. If the thought process is clear, if the thinking lineage is accurate, then there are methods to bring it down into words. Okay, you can put them down in words, and there are several methods. It's not easy. There is a lot of practice that requires to do both of this. Speaking and writing are both skills. One good part is they are skills, so they can be acquired with practice, but not very easy. Okay. The more difficult one would be writing, because it takes a lot of time before you can polish yourselves to bring down to a very good authorship, right? So, I think it's not just, if you are thinking it's just because of the language that you're being restricted, I would tell you that will not be the reason. What you can do is try and write, at least a paragraph, if not more, about anything. Or you can choose like one thing and add one paragraph each to the same thing every day. Or if you journal, if you write a diary. So journaling is something that you can do, but if you're particularly concentrated on the writing part, the improvement of that, then I would say it is always nice to pick something that is not, do both actually. Pick something that is closer to you, something that is personal, and take something that is general. Okay, so choose two topics and write about both of them, add one paragraph each to the same topic every day, and maybe at the end of the week, okay, look at them together and see where do you stand in terms of writing, and figure out what is happening if you're not able to move ahead. Then it will give you further reasons on why it is not happening. Okay,
Okay.
do this and then find out what happens. But again, I think we've digressed. We'll be talking about collocation. I answered just because you asked, but let's focus more on the collocation part. What is this? That's a very long, while watching lectures might come in handy to type. Yeah, okay. This is something that people can look at, what Pratyush has posted. But about collocation itself, I think the point that I stopped was that some of them are they are very strong. Okay, strong collocation, which means it's highly restricted. You cannot use those words with anything else. They only come together in that pair. The moment you use it with a different one, it sounds very odd. It doesn't make sense to the native speakers. Why would you use such a combination? Some of them are weak, or we can call them flexible, right? They can take more than one word into their combination. So the questions that we give you will mostly be focused on the ones which fall somewhere between, less flexible to not flexible at all. We'll definitely not give you a pair in collocation which is like very flexible, like, see, look at a word like good. Okay, so suppose, for example, if you have a word like good, there are several other words that can go along with the word good, right? So say good boy, good girl, good hat, good a good cartoon, or a good towel, a good dress, a good clothes. So the possibility is very, very high with an adjective like good, right? But it is impossible with, but look at a possibility like a good accident, right? This is an unlikely combination. You can say a good boy, a good girl, and several other things, but saying something like a good troublemaker or a good accident, this is not possible, right? It can be possible grammatically. Structurally, it might look okay because there is, there's a determiner, there is an adjective, and then there is a noun. But the major issue here is the context and the meaning. So a lot of the collocation are decided or are marked correct based on the meanings that they can generate. If it is giving you very, very unheard of meanings or very unlikely meanings, or at least ironic meanings, then you use them. And in your course, we are only going to be focusing on that kind of collocations. Okay, we're not going to look at the ones which will have like a wide variety of choices with it, like the one that I just mentioned. So one method to find out the answer in a collocation question is exclusion. You look at the other pairs and see which one you think comes with a greater frequency. If you're not able to judge based on the greater frequency part, that you do not know, this is the first time you are seeing that, and you do not really know if they come in greater frequency or if they come in less frequency, then of course you cannot make a choice based on that. The second thing that you're going to look at, if that is ruled out or if you're not able to make a judgment based on that, is this one. You put them together and see if there is some context missing, by which you think about it. You try and recollect what you have read, or try to put them together in sentences and see if something like this is a possibility. Will it give you enough meaning if you put those two words together, or what will be the meanings that it can generate? Along with it, you will also think what are the contexts in which you can use them. Okay, so these are the general methods, and then based on this understanding, you can eliminate the other choices and boil down to one. But having said that, I'll like to caution you towards something. This certain kind of word collocations, they happen exclusively in certain kind of texts, right? So you have certain topic. Just give me a moment, guys. Right, sorry about that. So if you will see that certain kind of collocations, they appear only in a certain, certain domains. So say, for example, business English, right? What example can I give you from business English? Okay, an example would be, if you're aware, if you're not, then just take this as an example. The word payroll, right? Payroll is very common to business English, right? So people who are in the HR, or you work in any organization, you know this word payroll. In business English, there is this usage called payroll orphans. Okay, payroll orphans. You want me to write it down? I'll try and give it to you in the chat for people who haven't heard of it. Okay, it's called payroll orphans. Has anyone heard of this? Anybody who works or you have chanced upon it sometime?
Ma'am, I heard only the payroll word.
You have heard payroll, but you have not heard about payroll orphan, right? So this is a particular collocation that's used in the business world. Okay, what does payroll orphan mean? Somebody who has been fired from the job. Payroll is only applicable to someone who's with a job, right? So payroll orphan, this is a usage that is more common in the business world. Payroll orphan is somebody who has lost the job, who was fired from the job. Okay, now these are the ones which are very specific to a certain domain. Why I gave you this example is that certain word collocations are they belong to only a certain domain. Okay, only people from that area or that particular domain would understand what a payroll orphan, an example of that, would mean. So this is not easily accessible to others. Similarly, there are several expressions that's used in sports or something that is used in cinema. Okay, so every area like this, if you have a text or if you have a speaker who's from that particular area, then you will see them using such kind of collocations very often. Okay, so those are very special ones. They are only found in those kind of texts. So restriction can come via general context and meaning, in general context and meaning. It can also come in specialized context and meanings also. Okay, so because we talked about context and meaning, I thought it's also important that I tell you that this also exists. For your exam purposes, we'll try and keep it as simple as possible, something that appeals to more wide and general audience than something that is for like a specific domain of people. We won't, but do not be surprised if you find one or two here and there. Okay, or the more common ones among the ones that are used in specific domains, so that can be found. All right, so two things about collocation from the discussion that we just had. One is it is not random. Okay, it cannot be a random combination between two things. And we are not talking, when we talk about collocation, it is important that we understand that collocations are based on strength. So you can have a weak collocation and you can also have a strong collocation. When you are learning collocations as a part of the language usage, your focus should be to learn the stronger one. Okay, the ones which will, by stronger collocation, we mean the one which has restricted, combination power, which means the pairs that they can only go together with each other. Okay, not like a combination like good boy, good girl, a word like good, which will have like several possible combinations, but something more restricted, like say a payroll orphan. Or let me give you a better example. Say, clinching evidence, right? This is very commonly used in media. If you watch news or if you read news, when people are reporting on sensational criminal cases, they use the phrase clinching evidence. Okay, the CBI is in possession of clinching evidence against the perpetrator. So these are the ones which we are looking for. Okay, these are the ones that you should focus on acquiring when you're reading or when you're listening, than the ordinary ones, which has like high flexibility and has higher combination, right? The former one, like the clinching evidence kind of collocations, are the one which will improve your language, which will make it better in terms of language use. Okay, so keep this in mind. There are several things that I can talk about, but I don't think that is required for your purpose. But one additional thing that I want to talk about is the grammatical collocation. Again, it is highly unlikely that you will get a question that is based on grammatical collocation, because it is easy, right? It is a limited set, so it is easy for people to acquire it. Okay, one good thing about the learning part, as far as the learning part is involved, is, just a minute, guys. Okay, so with respect to the grammatical collocation part, it is like a definite set. At least one part of it is one among the word in the pair is like a fixed one. It's only the other part which takes more of the combinations. So because of that kind of restriction around it, it is easy. It's a fixed set. So it is easily learnable in that sense. Okay, from a learning point of view, it is easy for you to understand. So we're not going to do a lot of activity on that, but to give you an example of what I mean by that, you have, these verbs like, just give you the list of that, do, have, get, give, make, put, take, set. Okay, these are verbs that are referred to as delexicalized verbs. Why are they called delexicalized? The meaning of delexicalized is that they do not tend to give any meaning to the pair. When they occur in pair with another word, they don't tend to give any meaning to that particular, they don't contribute meaning wise to that pair. Okay, the meaning of that pair. Instead, the word that occurs along with it is the one that contributes towards the major meaning. And mostly with these verbs, do, have, get, take, make, set, okay, all of them. The other word in combination is always a noun. Okay, so to give you an example, take a break, okay, or take a bus, okay, make a cake, right? All of these. So if you look at it, the other part of the combination is always a noun, and they are delexicalized because they do not give any meaning to the phrase itself. It is something that you can easily acquire. The other part of the pair after this verb, get, take, and all, it can be anything actually. Okay, because the other part in the pair is a noun. So it can be basically anything. You have the verbs take, set, make, do, etc. The following pair in that can be any noun. Okay, because it's a verb and a noun combination, a special kind of verb and noun combination where the verb involved is a delexicalized verb. Okay, delexicalized means it does not contribute towards the meaning of the phrase. Because this is the case, the word that follows, which is usually a noun, could be anything. So this can be a vast list. Only the first part of the combination, which is the delexicalized verb, is restricted. You have like a very definite set of verbs. I can just name them if you want to know them. Do, have, get, go, make, put, set, take. Okay, these are the only verbs. So this particular part is restricted. It is definite in the set, but what follows it, because it is a noun, it can be anything. So this actually contributes a lot in improving your vocabulary as such. If you know these verbs properly, anything can follow it and give you like it can add a lot to your vocabulary part. So this is a very non-problematic collocation in English, okay? And this is a grammatical collocation, an example of, sorry, not grammatical collocation, delexicalized verb collocation. What is grammatical collocation? Look at examples like, let's look at the word differentiate. Okay, so if you have a word differentiate, what do you think will follow that word? What word will follow the word differentiate?
Between.
Between, right? So that is one example. Differentiate between. Every time that's how it happens. Now look at a word like interested. Okay, interested. What will it be followed with?
In,
right? I'm actually interested in and something with ing, right? Interested in reading, interested in talking, listening, swimming, playing cricket. So it's basically interested plus the preposition in plus some ing form, which is the noun form ing, the participle form ing, right? So this is another example. One more example to talk about the word promised. Okay, what will be followed with after the word promise? What can follow the word promise? Promise to, right? Or it can also be a that clause. Promise that he would appear. Prisha?
Promise me.
Promised me, anything. So basically it could be a preposition to pronoun, or it can also be a that clause. Okay, like promise that he would come for a movie with me, right? So it could either be a that clause, it could be the preposition to, it could be the pronoun me, or other kind of pronouns, right? The other set of personal pronouns. So this particular part is fixed for these words, like differentiate between. You almost immediately know that between will follow differentiate. You almost immediately know that in is the preposition that will follow interested, right? So these are examples of grammatical collocations. Right? This is fixed. This cannot be changed. You cannot, this is very strong kind of collocation, and this is fixed, structurally fixed, and we cannot make any changes to it. It's not like your lexical collocation where some kind of flexibility is allowed, right? So because this is fixed and it is very widely used in the language, in terms of using the language, again, it's easy to acquire. It's not very difficult. The moment you know the grammatical rules, you know how to use them, right? So that is another example of collocation. Again, something that we are not very interested in because it's not going to contribute much to your enrichment of the vocabulary itself. Okay, right. Now, what are the other forms of fixed collocation. So one is grammatical collocation, and one is also delexicalized. In delexicalized, like I told you, the noun part of it is infinite. You can use it based on the context and meaning. You can use them in a combination. Only the verb part is fixed, right? And the third kind of fixed collocation, or the very strong kind of collocation, would be your idioms. Okay, your idioms are something called binomials. What are binomials? There are two words which always go together. Example, to and fro. So you have to, you automatically know that the next part is going to be to and fro. It cannot be, not to do. We are not discussing about that. To do is what? It's an infinitive, right? Pratyush, I'm talking about the preposition to and fro. Okay, my to and fro charges. Or something like open and shut case. Okay, the possibility of any other word occurring at that spot is very, very rare. Okay, it's very limited. You cannot put anything else in that place. So the moment
Hit
you
and
have,
run.
sorry,
Hit and run.
hit and run. Yes, hit and run is an example of that, right? So they binomials are not idioms by themselves, but they are so frequently used together, and their presence with each other is so strong that they've almost become like an idiom in English. Although they are not classified as one, but they are almost like, they almost function like an idiom. You cannot make changes to idioms, right? They're fixed. They are expressions used in language. So there are several of such collocated expressions, which due to their frequent usage over the period of time have now almost become like an idiom, right? Binomials are examples of that. So these are a few of such collocations which are very strong and very and they're fixed in nature. You don't bring about any altercations to that. Okay. Then the ones that we are dealing with are the ones which are less likely flexible to not very flexible. Okay, so that is an example. That is my quick discussion on the collocation part. But I know your questions are mostly going to be based on the part that I haven't seen this before, right? So that part can only be solved through your engagement with the language itself. I can suggest you dictionary of collocation, but you can think for yourself how much can you learn from dictionaries, right? Dictionaries are only for help. Okay, they cannot really be the source material or the learning material as such. It doesn't make any sense. It's very unreasonable to look at a dictionary and learn anything. They are only for cross verification and ratification part, nothing more than that. App, I am not sure, Pritesh. I must confess that I haven't done any research on if any app is available. You can look for it, but I'm a little more traditional in terms of learning. I like doing it the hard way. I usually don't suggest people taking shortcuts because it is rarely of any help. You can go wrong, and with respect to language, it can be quite embarrassing if you have used a certain formula and you have arrived at an answer. But then, because in language, acceptability is of great importance. Okay, it's not always about 2 + 2 = 4, but this particular part should also be acceptable to the people at large, because language, we know, is a social phenomena, right? So it's not just about the rules. A lot of things comes from what is acceptable to the society that you live in, or what is acceptable to the culture that you come from. So you will have to make amends and modifications based on that. So it's always nice to learn it through immersion, through constant engagement, than take help from short things. Now, while I say that, I'm not dismissing the possibility of using an app or the help it can do. You can maybe say you can do that once you have acquired some basic skills. If you are at a beginner stage, then this app and all is not something that I suggest. These are useful only in terms of learning sounds, getting acquainted to them and all that. So that is something that I would tell you with respect to that. But again, to answer your question, I don't know. There's an app which completely focuses on giving you word collocations. Okay. So that's that part. Guide is related to the qualifier exam. practice, there is nothing that I have to have in mind about it. You won't be asked anything that is not discussed with you in the course. That's all. If you are quite sure about the topics that has been discussed in the videos, if you have been able to solve your assignments properly, if your doubts from those sessions have been cleared well, then qualifier is not going to be a Herculean task for you. It's definitely not. None of the exams that we conduct are designed to test any, I mean, like you will hear from sir also, there are no tricks involved. It's purely based on what you have learned in the class. So just focus on the topics that's been taught. Go through the lectures carefully, look at the assignments carefully. All your questions are modeled based on that. I think the only additional component that you would have is like a listening comprehension, which is not which is not like new to you, because I'm sure activity questions have a good amount of listening comprehension questions. So that's there. Okay. So we will continue the discussion on word collocation in at least for the next 2 classes, basically doing exercises. Today I have like one with me, which I'm going to share with you right now. We will try to do this. This is just an introductory part. So I just want to warm you up with collocation and what it actually, give you a sense of what it is. We will take specific sorts of like the combination that I think Pratyush or somebody has suggested in the chat. We'll look at them one by one in the next 2 classes and see if, in the process, we'll together figure out if there is indeed an easy way to learn it. As of now, my answer is no. But we will see if there are, any shortcuts available if there are any which we can use. So I'll just share the document with you in a moment, and we can do this one together today, and then we can take up the others later. Okay, am I not able to find? Just a sec. Stop the video and discuss this with you. Okay, so can you all see the screen properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
So we have 2 sets of exercises. Okay, so this is like a random hit at the collocation. This is not, I don't have anything particularly focused on in both the exercises. It's just like a random exercise that I want you to do in the collocation. I have actually taken this off from a source. I apologize, I haven't mentioned the source here, but when you get the document, it will definitely be there. But let's look at this. Just two exercises. You have about 16 plus 10, I think 26 of the questions should be enough for today. But this is not focused particularly on anything. This is just to have an understanding of how collocations work, okay? Particularly to give you what we mean by context and other part that we discussed.
Where to see the questions, these questions, where to access?
Sorry?
Where to access these questions?
Can you access these questions?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Where to get these questions?
Sure, you will definitely get these questions.
No, I'm sorry. I mean, is it part of the graded assignment or how to?
No. This is not a part of the graded assignment. This is just for the practice sake. We do that. Are you first to the session? Have you? Is it the first time you are
yes,
to the session?
Yes, actually,
okay, so we basically solve these questions right now in the class, and this document will be made available at a later stage. Okay. To you so that you can practice. Okay. Yeah, but anyway, we'll be doing all of this in the class, so it doesn't really matter if you have the document or not.
So just like in other courses, is there a link where additional tests or something, because we have a quiz on on Sunday. So before that, if you want to practice this, is there a
true.
Yeah. So when under which section will this be available? Like in the dashboard. In the dashboard, is it available?
Yes. It will be made available. Okay. At this moment, no, it's not available. It will be made available. Okay. All right. So we'll look at the questions. The first one is complete each sentence. So you have a set of 16 sentences here. So complete each sentence with an adjective from the list on the left and a preposition from the list on the right. So basically this is an adjective preposition combination. Okay. You must use each adjective once only, but you can use each preposition more than once. Obviously, why? So because prepositions are closed class compounds, right? You have the number of prepositions in any language is fixed, whereas adjectives are open class. You can keep adding more to it. So yes, so let's look at the first 5 set of questions.
First one, ma'am, jealous.
Yeah, just yeah, we can look at it. She was dash her friend because she had a better dress.
Jealous too.
Jealous.
Jealous of.
Jealous of.
Why?
Okay. So this is how you learn combinations. You don't say jealous to. Jealous of all the time. Okay. So jealous is an adjective which goes with a combination of preposition of. This is a set expression. You don't change it. So she was jealous of her friend because she had a better dress. Now the second one, the waste paper bin was dashed.
Better. Can I change
Sorry?
Can I change a good past form of a good is a better? Can I use better?
Past form of good is not better. It's the comparative form of good.
Sorry.
Good, better, best.
Can I okay?
The waste
I
paper
thought
bin
it
was full of.
Okay, fine. So this is the answer to the second question, right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The waste paper bin was
Full of.
full of crumpled sheets of paper. Okay. So that's the answer. Now, third one. This computer is dash producing sophisticated graphics.
Capable of.
Capable of.
Responsible for producing.
Responsible for, capable of.
Capable of.
Which one do you think is right?
Capable of, ma'am.
Okay, capable for is definitely not the answer, Deepa.
Capable
but
of.
we can discuss between responsible for. This computer is responsible for. Responsible for would be something that is usually reserved for a subject that is animate. Okay. So we'll zero in on capable of right now and not responsible for. Okay. Good at, no. Fine. So the town is specially dash its elegant architecture.
Famous for.
Famous for?
Elegant. It's elegant architecture.
Famous for.
Famous for its elegant architecture. Any other answers? Famous for looks to be the one which gets the most of the votes. Okay, so famous for its elegant architecture. All right, keep that for the moment and see if there are better combinations waiting for us. Do you want me to split the screen? Let me see how this works. But it will still be okay. Something should be better like this. Okay, so I felt very dash making such a stupid mistake. Ashamed of. A lot of answers is ashamed of. Okay. Any other answers? Anyone? Sorry? Yeah, it should be mostly ashamed of, right? I felt very ashamed of making such a stupid mistake. After weeks of preparation, the hall is nearly dash the grand.
Ma'am, can I afraid of also use?
I felt very afraid of making such a stupid mistake.
Yes.
It lacks context, right? After you have made a stupid mistake, usually you feel ashamed of a stupid mistake, right? Not afraid of a stupid mistake, right?
Sometime in conversation you are making silly mistake. That's why I'm afraid about it. Why you are doing?
I don't think the stronger chance is for ashamed of, given the word stupid. Okay, the higher chances that you feel embarrassed and you feel ashamed than being afraid of a stupid mistake. So see, this is not a grave mistake, right? If it's a serious grave mistake, then you are afraid. But if it is stupid, usually you are ashamed or you are embarrassed. That how did this even happen? Right? Usually, right? So Next is, after weeks of preparation, the hall is nearly dash the grand opening. The answer, ready for, yes, correct. Ready for the grand opening, correct. Sorry? Full of, no. Full of the grand opening, no. That cannot go together. Ready for the grand opening, okay? Something, the hall is ready to be opened is basically the meaning. So, ready for the grand opening. Could you add this up for me? I'm not very dash maths.
Good at math.
Good at maths. I'm not good at it. Can you do this for me? Because I'm not good at this. Okay, that's all. So,
Here, good in fits better, I guess.
sorry?
Here, good in fits better, I guess. But in is not.
Okay, please, one at a time. I can hear multiple voices in the same. So, who is it speaking? Is it Mohammed or was it someone else? The answer to this question will be good at. Okay, I don't know what other answer was given. I was not very clear on that.
He was mentioning good in, ma'am.
No, not good in maths. It's good at maths. Okay.
In Hindi, sometimes we say, ma'am, my maths mein acha nahi.
Right.
That's why maybe my.
Oh, you're taking in the usage from Hindi. So, so this is one thing you should avoid. Okay, don't transliterate. Usages of prepositions in languages, in our languages, if you look at them closely, we don't have prepositions. What we have are postpositions. Okay, so my maths mein acha nahi hu. How did that happen? So your may is followed after maths, right? So the clause structure for our languages is different from language like English. English has prepositions. We have postpositions. Maths mein acha nahi hu. So don't transliterate. The things that go well in your language may not be the way how it happens in other languages. There are language specific differences when it comes to functional aspects. Okay, and because prepositions are part of functional applications in language, you should be careful about their usage. Learn it as it is used in English. Okay. All right. So not good in, you're good at. If this is a mistake that you were making till now, please correct it. You are not good at something, or you are good at something. Okay. When you're speaking about, so you go to a job interview, somebody asks you about skills that you have. You say you are good at, not good in. Okay. This is a wrong usage in English. 8-1. Who is dash writing those words on the wall?
Responsible for.
Yes. Who is responsible for? So look at this one. The phrase responsible for is usually used along with something that is animate. Okay. Animate means something that is living. A living thing, not something that is non-living. Okay, so the right usage, although you see a lot of people doing it that way, you can hear people saying that the TV is responsible for this, or the phone is responsible for my lack of attention or procrastination and other things. It's a very informal usage. In formal English, the right kind of method to use this expression would be responsible for is always used when there is an agent to take up the responsibility, right? So responsibility cannot be passed over to an inanimate object, because inanimate objects don't have agency. That's all. Keep this in mind. She was so dash her nephew's
Proud of.
achievement that she couldn't stop talking about it. She was so proud of her nephew's achievement. Okay, again, this is also very common. You say proud of, right? There are many responses in the chat. I'm just not proud at Satyam Kumar. It has to be proud of. Okay, this is again a very fixed usage in English prepositional phrase. Sorry, verbal phrase. Proud of, not proud at.
Can it accustomed of her nephew's achievement?
Accustomed?
Of her nephew's
No. Accustomed. What is the meaning of the word accustomed?
Like familiar type.
So I'm accustomed of something means what? That I am used to it, or I am in. Yeah, that something is known to me, or I have had the experience of it already, right? So that doesn't fit in this purpose, right? That she couldn't stop talking about it. So somebody is very proud of something. If you're accustomed of something, the rest of the things doesn't fit it properly. Why will you talk about it all the time? Okay, the proud of usage fits in better. Okay, now we'll go to the next one.
Ma'am, in eighth sentence.
Yes.
In eighth sentence, can we say afraid of?
Who is afraid of writing those words on the wall? Yeah, in a very different context, but a stronger chance for what we have right now in the box here, it would be responsible for. Okay, who is afraid of writing those words on the wall? It's not like a very, it's not a general statement that you would ask anybody, right? They are very specific. This is an example of the payroll orphan that I gave you. These are from specialized contexts. This is not how you will fill up the blanks if you are looking at it from a general context of meanings. Okay. But grammatically, yes, you're right. This is what I was telling you, that things that are grammatically sound may not be correct in a contextual way or in a semantic way, which is basically meaning, right? When you are answering for collocations, please look for general context of meanings. Do not, bring up things like afraid of here, because this is not something that is very regular or common, right? I don't know. That's what it looks to me as. Okay. That's my interpretation. Okay. So ninth one. No, sorry, we're done. No, 10th one. We'll look at the 10th one now. It took some time to get the slower pace of life in the country after the frantic atmosphere of the town.
I think here would be accustomed.
This one is going to be accustomed. Okay, so what accustomed followed with which preposition? To. Accustomed to. Okay, so it took some time to get accustomed to the slower pace. Right. Now we try to eat food which is the
famous for. Famous in.
Just a moment. Your answer is? Okay, we'll look at the column. What is your answer? I'll look at the chat.
Can I see the question again?
Sure, you can. We try to eat food which is dash the region.
Ma'am, can it be typical in the region?
Yes, typical. That's the answer. Typical, and what will it be? The preposition you'll use at, for, of, on, to.
Of.
Typical of. Okay, typical of.
Can I use relevant for food? It is relevant to, relevant.
No. Relevant cannot be used. Relevant has a very difficult, very different meaning word, right? Relevant to the region which we are traveling, no. The more appropriate response would be typical of the region that we are traveling. We try to eat food which is, food is typical to a region, right? Relevance is subjective. I mean, it's an individualistic choice what is relevant and what is irrelevant to you, especially when it comes to matters of food. But typical, yes, certain kind of regions will have food that is very typical of their place. So that one fits here better. In terms of word collocation, typical of the region. Okay.
Ma'am, can it use as famous as?
Sorry?
Hello. As famous as. We try to eat food which is as famous as the region.
No.
We're traveling.
No. When you use something like as famous as, you're doing comparison. So there should be two things there, at least two things to compare. Okay. As soon as good as, these are all comparative expressions. And if you're using that, then there should be some comparison present in your statement. You cannot use it without it. Okay.
Famous in the region which we are traveling.
Okay, please guys, raise your hands and speak one at a time.
We try to eat food which is famous in the region.
Famous for.
Is famous for the, we try to eat food which is famous for the, no. Which is famous for the region? No. That's a wrong
Famous
usage.
in the region.
Famous in the region.
But
Famous
it will be not
Famous
applicable
in
in
the-
the region in
No.
which.
No. The usage that you can have here is typical of. That is more appropriate. So appropriateness is also one part of collocation. Okay. There can be multiple right answers, but the most appropriate one goes in. Okay. Rohit, you have a question? I see your hand raised.
Yes. Actually, we generally associate typical with some characteristics of a living person. For example, this person is having this typical.
You're not clear, Rohit. Can you speak a little louder?
I'm saying typical is generally associated with a person's characteristic.
Echo is coming from your side, bro.
Okay, let me mute others. Yeah, Rohit, can you go over again? You were saying typical means something that gives characteristics. Is it?
Yes, it describes some human beings' characteristics generally. So how could it fit here? We are talking about some region, so famous or something which is prevalent.
No, so if it is about characteristics, then we try to eat food which is, we are talking about the region. And the food of that part could also be a feature or a characteristic element of that region, right? It is possible to look at it that way.
Okay.
That is possible. So all of that becomes a part of the features or the characteristics of that region. We're not talking about food here. We're talking about the region, right? So this, all of this goes. Okay, 12th one. Are you dash any reason why he should be late?
Aware of.
Aware of. Okay.
Aware of.
Aware of. We have aware here. So aware and of from here. Okay, so that's right. Then you have, they built nuclear power stations so as not to be dash coal as their main source of energy.
Dependent for?
Dependent on. You depend on, right? So dependent on. Dependent on. Correct. This is not really dash our discussion. So can we get back to the main point of the meeting?
Relevant for?
Relevant to. Okay, this is not relevant to our discussion. So can we get back? 15th one. He sleeps with the light on because he's dash the dark.
Afraid of.
Afraid of. Okay, now this is like a clear-cut case. You cannot, the first thing that comes to you is afraid of. Right?
Yes.
Afraid of dark. Be careful what you say to Scott. He's very dash
sensitive to criticism.
Sensitive to criticism. Okay, fine. Sensitive to criticism. So be careful. Sulk for days. All right. Okay. All right. Now that is one part. The combination we saw here mostly was of the adjective and the preposition combination. The next one we are going to look at is this one. Okay. I'll bring it back to the. So look at each of adjectives and what is that? Something is missing there from the list below. Choose an adverb to go in front of them. Okay, so you have like adjectives as a part of the list here, right? And in the box, you have the adverbs that should go along with them. Your task is to choose the one that is applicable to each of them. Same thing, but this time with an adjective and adverb combination. These ones are particularly a little problematic because they can have multiple answers.
Totally.
But when you look at the combination, you will see that only one among the list that you have perfectly sits with everything. Because one of the word will be a little strongly collocated with the other one. So the first one, you have different, frank, committed to, unacceptable, opposed to.
So it can be totally or fully?
No, ma'am, it's totally, I think.
Strictly.
Yeah, that is something that you have to tell me why.
Strictly.
Why something or so think about this. Okay, now you can take the help of this is when you can take the help of a collocation dictionary. Okay, that will help you to understand how to do this.
Totally different friend.
Totally different, totally unexpected.
Totally, ma'am.
So totally is one of your answer, and the other one is fully. So look at all of them: totally different, totally frank, totally committed to, totally unacceptable, or totally opposed to. There is actually another slash here which I think I forgot. Fully different, fully frank, fully committed to, fully unacceptable, fully opposed to. Totally is the one I think which goes here better than fully. Okay, because that sounds like a stronger collocation with all the words here than fully, because you won't say something like fully frank or fully committed to, or fully unacceptable, right? Fully opposed to. Actually, fully won't go with any of them in terms of usage. Totally should be the word that you should be using here. Okay. Take a quick look at the chat if I have a question. No. All right. Now, second one, dash confidential.
Strictly.
Strictly confidential, strictly limited, strictly forbidden, strictly necessary, strictly true. Okay. Fine. We'll go with strictly. I don't. Any other answers?
Highly,
ma'am.
Highly confidential.
Fully automatic, fully aware, fully justified.
No, we are discussing the second one.
Oh, strictly.
Highly limited, highly no, because you don't say highly forbidden. You can say strictly forbidden or strictly limited. All of that's possible. Okay. Strictly necessary is also possible. Third one. Fully automatic, fully aware, fully justified, fully insured, fully comprehensive. Okay. Fully goes. Fourth one.
Deeply.
Clear, happy, understandable, safe, reasonable.
Deeply, ma'am.
Deeply reasonable, no. Deeply happy, no.
Perfectly.
Perfect. Totally.
Perfectly.
Perfect. Yes, right.
Perfectly. Perfectly clear, perfectly happy, perfectly understandable, perfectly reasonable.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like something that can go with all of them properly, right? So, yes. Perfectly. Fifth one.
Totally.
Ma'am, how does perfectly happy does make sense? Because perfectly happy, we don't use that.
We do use that. Haven't you heard people saying, I'm perfectly happy with my job?
Okay.
Okay.
Or perfectly happy in my marriage? Anything? There are many uses that's possible with that. Okay, so, or we'll see. Okay, this is right now, this sounds okay for us. We also look at the elimination tactics. The thing is, from the set of the words that we have here, perfectly is the one that goes with it. There can be another word which is like more probable and more fitting in to all of these words than perfectly. We are not saying no, but from the choice that we have here, this is the one which looks like, something that would fit all of them well. Right. So that's the reasoning we are using at this point. See, the way you understand something and the way you approach it in terms of a question is a little different, right? There you have certain firewalls built in. You have to look at that also carefully. So 5 dash
Heavily.
Sorry.
Heavily.
Heavily
Yes.
built, heavily guarded, heavily armed, heavily dependent on, heavily influenced by. Correct. It's right choice. Sixth one, infectious, probable, skilled, profitable, critical.
Highly.
Highly skilled, highly infectious, highly probable, highly profitable, highly critical. Yes, highly seems to be something that fits in really well there. Seventh one, miserable, professional, ashamed, spoiled, unpleasant.
Deeply.
Deeply
professional, is that a usage?
No. I think seriously.
Seriously, I think.
I think seriously.
Seriously professional, how it would be?
No, seriously may not go there. Seriously may not go there.
Totally miserable. Totally
Totally,
professional.
no, but do you say totally professional, totally
Ma'am,
ashamed, totally spoiled?
strictly professional, strictly.
Sorry?
No. Ashamed will not work out. With that.
Thoroughly.
Thoroughly, let's see if it goes. But I'm just looking at what other options we have. Strictly, thoroughly, deeply.
Oh, fully.
Deeply, widely, seriously.
We can use totally professional, right, in a sentence.
Totally
You
ashamed.
can use, see, I think I told you this, that it's not like you cannot use these combinations. But when you look at collocations, it's about how frequently do they appear together, right? That is more important to us.
Okay.
So yes, let's look at it. We'll see what are the other options. We'll keep 7th for the time being. Let's look at 8th one. What do you think goes here? Ill, wrong, worried, injured, weakened.
Deeply.
Seriously.
Seriously? Yeah, seriously ill, seriously wrong, seriously worried,
Seriously.
seriously injured, seriously weakened. Okay, so seriously seems to go there. What about 9th one? Disappointed,
Highly.
impressed, suspicious, shocked, religious.
Highly.
Highly.
Highly. What options do we have?
Totally.
Totally. Religious, you know. So
Highly
so it could be
suspicious, highly
deeply, right?
religious.
Can we not use deeply, because
Yeah.
we say deeply religious, deeply disappointed, deeply impressed, deeply suspicious, deeply shocked. Yeah, this one goes. You can use deeply here. Okay, deeply disappointed. Again, you know, I can have questions like, why can't I say totally disappointed? I'm just saying you can use that, but something that is a better collocation or a strong collocation would be deeply disappointed. I'm deeply disappointed at your behavior, or I am deeply impressed with your performance. My uncle is deeply religious. Okay, so I think deeply fits in there better.
How deeply goes with suspicious?
I'm deeply suspicious of someone. So my suspicion is deep about something. Suspicion is something that's a word which is related to thinking, right? There is a thinking process involved there. So if I say think deeply, then I can also say suspect deeply. Possible. Anything that involves any cognitive activity can be done deeply, right?
Okay.
That's possible. The last one, 10, differing, accepted. Widely accepted, widely known, widely differing, widely respected. Yes. Okay. So that goes. So which means your 7th blank is going to be thoroughly, right? Thoroughly miserable, thoroughly professional, thoroughly ashamed, thoroughly unpleasant. That looks okay to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So the catch is, like, see, in this one, this is the same thing that you're going to do when you have, the only difference we have here is that we don't have them in columns, right? So when you have words like this, you'll have to do this match and mismatch and see which one you think is a stronger collocated one than, you know, if it is like, if it comes to you as like a very easy catch, like the very first go, probably that's the, you know, that could be your answer. But don't go by that. This is not like a foolproof technique. That will happen to you only if you're somebody who reads widely. Okay, if you read very widely, then some of these collocations will hit you straight away. Otherwise, you will have to focus a little deeply and see. Basically, look at other combinations and one by one rule them out for in terms of strength. Pritesh, go ahead.
I mean, previous section, I think question number 14. Can
14.
we use like, yeah. Can we use relevant for?
The answer was relevant only, no? Is it not? That's what we discussed. Relevant to our discussion. So relevant for, no. Relevant to. For is not something that you use here. This is not relevant for our discussion. If you have to use for, then you will have to replace the word relevant with important. This is not important for our discussion. But relevant usually collocates with the preposition to. This is not relevant to our discussion. It is not relevant to this discussion or relevant to our purpose. Every time the word relevant comes, it is automatically followed up with the preposition to. Okay. Right.
एकदम इमोशनल, हद से ज्यादा इमोशनल.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right, guys. So any other? Totally will not go with religious, Krishna Mohan. That's not how it works. Okay. So will not go, again, to repeat, I don't mean that you can never go with each other. The person will definitely get the meaning, but it won't be the most appropriate way of putting it.
What I meant was, we could eliminate totally, because totally will not go with religious.
Oh, you were telling me that totally will not.
Yeah, will not go with religious. Totally
okay.
will not go with religious.
Fine,
so
fine. Yeah, that's right. Totally will not go with religious. Okay. Pritesh.
Which dictionary is good for collocation?
There is a Oxford dictionary for collocations. Usually that's the safer choice because that's the longest existing one. So it will have more entries. Okay. Some of them are now archaic. People don't use it anymore. However, this is a good one. This will also have like the newer editions. They update every year. So I think Oxford would be the better one to go. Additionally, there are also online collocation sites available, but I would say you depend on the authentic source, which is the Oxford Dictionary, Oxford Collocation Dictionary. There's one, not the dictionary, but the Collocation Dictionary, specifically only for collocation.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys. So 5:15 now. So we'll stop for today. We'll continue discussing the word collocation, possible combinations, and other criteria involved in word collocation, how we decide on this in the coming weeks. Maybe at least 2 or 3 parts we'll have to this. So I'll meet you next week. If you have no further questions for today, thank you. And I think you will be taking your qualifiers, some of you this week. So all the best for that. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you.